Hello, everybody. Frank Penny here today with a interview with, boy, I'm just really excited to have Danny Brown. Hello, Danny. How are you?
Hi Frank, not too bad, and I think we just missed on my dog's barking at a dog going by the window there. I was quickly reaching for the mute button.
No, it's okay. I saw a cartoon today that the luckiest people in the world are those that can work from home, and I work
Yeah,
from home.
it helped. There's a bonus, and I kind of miss the interactivity of like an office environment now and again. But yeah, the freedom that it gives you at home, it just locks you in a lot more, which is it's good.
I think it's the wave of the future. Well, let me introduce you to my audience, which is chambers across North America and chamber members, small businesses, and a lot of them probably have never heard of you, Danny. Not to say anything bad about you, but
Nice, that's
you
good.
come out of the corporate world, and chamber members are generally pretty darn small, mom and pop, Main Street businesses. But I think your book that's coming out is really going to apply to them, especially in this age of social media. So let me just say a couple words about Danny here. He's an award-winning marketer and blogger. His blog's been recognized as the #1 marketing blog in the world by HubSpot, which I totally recommend HubSpot to everybody. Ad Age Power has put him as Power 150 on their list, as well as Canada's top 50 marketing blogs. Not American, he's not Canadian necessarily. We'll get to that because of that accent. I need to know
Right.
about that. He's the co-author of the upcoming book, How to Create or Influence Marketing, How to Create, Manage, and Measure Brand Influence in Social Media Marketing, which is what we're going to be talking about primarily here today. He's worked for he's worked with IBM and Microsoft Canada, Ford Canada, FedEx, some of the biggest companies in the world. Lives in Burlington, Ontario. We have a lot of Ontario friends of the show. And notable mentions. It goes on and on here. He's been a speaker at a TEDx event. And well, Danny, I'm just going to allow you to summarize it. Who are you and what do you do primarily for small business people? What can you do?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, what I've done in the past and what the company that I'm working with now, what we do is essentially educate and help educate people to use social primarily for their business. So it can be for like a lead generation, customer acquisition, but it can also be for research and just being a better business all around and being able to grow your business without needing to have massive marketing budgets.
Very good. So you're a speaker, you're an author of the upcoming book, and you also have an agency, a full service agency. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, our company, which kind of we ran off that because it sounds like our company, but it's also your company as a client. We all work together to make your business successful. So that's where our company came in, and we launched that. We've known each other for a few years now, but we launched that just officially 2 months ago. We thought, you know what, we've been doing this for everybody else, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We want to be able to control what we can do and how we can help clients versus being told what we can and can't do. That's where the genesis came about for that side.
Absolutely, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
There's something about being a lone wolf speaker, consultant, and author. When you add that agency component, you can sure do a lot more, but you're taking on a lot of responsibility there. So congratulations.
Yeah, no, thank you. Cheers, Frank.
So let's talk about your book and influence marketing. I would think that most people watching this have maybe some idea of what influence marketing is, but they might think that that's just for big corporations that can afford to pay a celebrity endorser or a celebrity influencer. Does influence marketing apply to the small business market?
Yeah, for sure. I think the problem is, and you probably made the perfect statement about the cost of influence marketing. Where it stands today, influencers are at the heart of the marketing circle. So companies like Clout, Cred, Pure Index, etc., charge many thousands of dollars to get your business in front of a certain amount of influencers based on their algorithm. The problem is that's going on generic influence. For Sam and I, who's my co-author, Sam Fiorella, we've always been of the belief that the customer is the true influencer. They're the people that's going to actually make a decision whether your business succeeds or not. So we take influence away from this perceived influencer based on a score or whatever, and we hand it straight back to the customer. At the end of the day, if I'm in a grocery store, I own a grocery store, for example. I don't, but if I did, sorry, just to clear that up, I'm influencing my customers every day of the week they come in. I'm helping him decide the best fruits to buy. Why not to buy this particular fruit from Ghana versus this particular fruit from a similar region? I'm helping them understand why they want to go for organic versus pesticide-grown fruits, etc. So I'm being an influencer to my customers, and because of that, they're deciding to shop with me versus my local massive retail off-site store. So if you think that the customer is the influencer and the person that should be at the heart of every marketing that you do, and not someone that's got 10,000 readers on their blog or 100,000 Twitter subscribers, that's where influence really comes back to, Frank. And that's where Sam and I's premise is to give it back to the customer and help businesses understand how to connect with these customers and not the influencers.
Is this a concept that may have been around a long time, but now that we have social media and the ability for people that are experts in certain niches or that would normally not get a lot of attention, can they now become incredible influencers for a business?
Yeah, I think what social media has done is it's made it easier to become an influencer, because now you can start a blog and you can put your thoughts out there and people can come read, comment, share, etc. Whereas before, you might only be speaking to people down the pub or at a chamber of commerce, networking event. So it takes from the micro level of, say, 50 to 100 people talking to thousands of people talking. So that's where it's really, social media has helped, businesses of all size, from small to the big organizations.
So let's say that a small business knows that one of their customers has some reach, some influence, and what could they do? Should they reach out to them and try to strike up some kind of a relationship here? And does money need to change hands?
Yeah and nay. It's really weird. I mean, yes, you definitely want to try and connect with them, because if they're relevant to your business and the product and the service you're selling, because that's step one, it needs to be relevant. Otherwise, it goes back to celebrity endorsements, like you say. Everybody knows it's just being shilled and paid for. You need to connect with the person that's sharing that message. So it makes sense for you to connect with them if they're relevant. And there's some great low-cost tools now that can help you identify who these people are and give you a good basis of how to connect with them as well. Because you know yourself, people's time is very valuable, and if you're getting pitched left, right, and center by people trying to get you to promote the brand, it would get wearing. So you don't want to come across as spammy, but it makes sense if you can connect and they love your product or they're already a fan of your service and product. It goes towards the advocacy side now versus influence. And at the end of the day, that's another premise that Sam and I really talk about strongly. We want to turn it back to true advocacy and where the customer is in the purchase life cycle, but also the value of that, the lifetime value of that customer to your business. So all that information helps you identify who can help you, be that business for your customer.
Interesting. Let me share a quick little story with you here. I have a bit of reach in the Chamber of Commerce market. I used to run a Chamber of Commerce, and we did really well. We were one of the first into social media in the country, and we really excelled at it. And I got approached by a company saying, how would you like to travel the country representing our company as you travel and speak on this? And so I became a spokesperson, per se, for their company, which I believed in their company. I used their product, I loved them. And it was my pleasure to promote them. But they got back to me after about a year of this and said, we can't really identify very many customers that came through you. So my voice was large. I was telling a lot of people, but there was no way to know where the sale came from. Are we getting to a point where you might know which influencers are actually closing deals for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a two-step fold I'll try to cover really quickly on that. But yeah, we can definitely measure it. We've always been able to measure it anyway. If you haven't been able to measure it, there's either problems with the data that you're collecting or the people you have, to measure the platform. But yeah, you could use, there's a company in Toronto called Squeeze, CMM. And what they do is they allow you to create unique URLs, like shorteners. And you can allocate that to various people, like bloggers or tweets, Facebook updates, etc. And that can follow the exact path of what happened after that share. So did someone click on the link? Did they come to your landing page? Did they download a white paper? Did they share the white paper? After reading the white paper, did they click the link inside the white paper, come back on, buy your product, and then refer the product to someone else who now came back? So all that can now be measured, tracked back to the one person. And that ties back to the initial point you made there about you love the brand and they connected with you, but it may be that the people that were following you at that time didn't connect quite so much to the brand through yourself. There might not have been quite the connection there. To give you a quick, simple example, let's say one of the Chamber members is a lifestyle stylist. She's got a spa. So she's very much, she has a blog to talk about the various lifestyle products. She has a very dedicated readership of, say, a very female-driven readership, for example. So a brand might say, "Hey, this girl's got, this lady's got 1,000 readers. We want to get in touch with them. So we're going to create a promotional campaign using influence or whatever." The problem is, all of these 1,000 readers, a third might be a mother with three young kids, all under the age of 5. A third might be a mom that's got 2 young kids but 1 teenage kid. She had like 2 different, ages of the children. And another section could be a mom whose kids are now in college. It's all the same readership, but they've got 3 very different buy-in needs. So they're not going to be interested in people that just are a brand that's just going to appeal to the middle section of the 2 young kids and the 1 older kid. That's missing out a bigger audience. So you have to make sure that you're finding out what target audience you want to go after and who the right person is for that. And that's where the connection comes back to as well, which makes it easier for you to measure who's sending you the traffic.
Interesting. And businesses have to be proactive about this and not just let it happen. I know just today, a vendor of mine, my graphic designer, did me a huge favor by sending me out to her entire list saying, look at the tastefulness and the great branding Frank has done by pulling together all the colors, all the fonts, everything I do, which she has done, really. She's the great talent here. But she kind of gave that out to her list, which is a pretty good list for me to be seen by other speakers and consultants that could hear of deals. I mean, I was really thankful for her. I didn't ask her to do that. She became my brand ambassador, kind of a little bit self-serving. It helps her, but it helped me immensely.
Yeah, for sure.
How can businesses kind of to facilitate that?
I think for smaller businesses especially, it's so core, but this is where smaller businesses have the edge over an organization, because a larger business needs certain red tape sign-offs and legal sign-offs and 15 approval listings, etc., whereas a small business owner is far more fluid and can get on stuff right away. But I always tie it back to the physical storefront location. You wouldn't just sell a customer your product and then that's it. The next time you try to find out about them. So the next time they came in, you would know the preference. Like a restaurant would know this guy is allergic to mustard, so we're not going to put mustard on the table. Just little things like that. Sure. But you're being proactive at getting to know who these customers are, because they're your lifeblood. You might only have, say, 100 customers, but that 100 customers is far more beneficial at keeping your business afloat than 1 million customers for AT&T, for example. So you're doing it anyway on the storefront, so why not take that online and just think of ways, how can I continue to be proactive at thanking my customers, turning them into advocates or helping them be advocates? What can I give them, as well as great service and what should be happening anyway? How can I help them get themselves better known if they've got a business, for example? And it all comes back to this collaborative consumption that I think a lot of businesses are moving towards, certainly this year and beyond, where there's no longer such a thing as intense competition with each other. There's a lot of business out there, and it's ways that we can work together to close deals and to get customers versus being so busy fighting each other for customers that the customers have gone elsewhere anyway.
That's very interesting for the Chamber of Commerce industry. When I speak I go to these conferences where I have an audience of chamber executives. I tell them, you're sitting in such an amazing position. You have 400 small businesses as members. If you can get them helping each other and co-promoting, I mean, aren't they sitting in the catbird seat, so to speak?
And exactly, and that's the thing. I just can never. I understand why there's competition. Clearly, every business owner needs to be competitive, but I don't think you should be competitive at the cost of actually going out of business. That's crazy. So if you've got services that can actually help you reach a wider audience, like the example you just gave now, so a gymnasium, for example, might want to partner with a T-shirt and a sportswear retailer in town that might want to partner with a juice supplier. So now you've got three companies. Okay, that's maybe a really poor example because they're not tend to be competitive with each other, but there's ways that you can work together and help and benefit each other to make everybody successful versus being this little niche.
Right. I think it's a whole different mindset we need to bring to the world nowadays. A lot of people don't even know about reciprocity.
Right. Yeah.
What you give, you get back, and you can't just expect to get. You have to give first, and then people are quick to give back, but we have to act first.
Right.
It comes down to relationship building, doesn't it? Isn't that a key factor in this?
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, this is why I always think, it's a people business. People do business with people. Now, there's going to be certain exceptions. I mean, a huge multinational pharma company doesn't care who's signing the dotted line. They just care that they've got their drugs in the marketplace versus XYZ. But for a smaller business owner, for like the average business owner, entrepreneur, anybody like that, if you can show that you're a nice person to deal with, that you're a valuable person that actually does what they say they're going to do versus saying a lot of stuff but never actually doing it, that starts to build a lot of trust. And trust is the web's economy anyway. It's so easy to find out if someone's not trustworthy. You just need to go online to Yelp and look at the bad reviews there. So trust in relationships is such a key, and that's the one that's going to have people coming back and recommending your business to others. And trust at the end of the day is the biggest influencer in the market. If I trust you, I'm going to listen and react to what you do versus what someone else does that's got 10 times your follower but I don't quite trust.
Right. Such interesting times. I'm thinking here of how trust would impact, say you could run a newspaper ad, it costs $10,000 and you reach people, but really people don't trust advertising very much anymore. I'd much rather have one really happy customer that happens to have 800 Facebook friends, and it's really relationship based. And that whole thing about 150 limited relationships, I think, is way low. Because I know people with hundreds, even thousands of Facebook friends, and they might not be best friends with people, but you really give them a lot of, they're real. They're
yeah,
honest.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's that Dunbar number that you're on about, the 150. You can only connect with 150 people and keep it manageable. But yeah, I mean that's great. But you can have 150 horse feed providers. You can have 150 data providers. You can have 150 stationers. So it all comes and it swings and roundabouts as to this 150 number. But that's a perfect example of the advertising. There's a company near me actually over in Oakville, Canadian Pet Connection, who's a very specialized healthy food pet store. That's a father and son team, and they like to get customers in and actually treat them like their friends. They'll stand with them for 30 minutes, they'll get to know their names, they'll talk about the pets, what the healthy food is. They sell raw food, and there's none of this like chum dog food or kibbles or whatever. It's all organic, healthy food, and they're very much on the one-on-one relationship basis. Now, what happened? I did a talk last year back in Toronto, and I was doing some research for some slides, and I noticed that someone on Canadian Pet Connection's Facebook page had left a status update saying, "It's great to see you guys doing online what I've come to love about you offline." Now this girl, she's got like 15,000 Twitter followers and about 5,000 Facebook fans, etc. She didn't get paid to do that. She just came on and she shared that with her community because she saw what Brandon and Lauren were doing online replicate everything that they did offline. And that's perfect example to your point there, Frank. You just don't know who you're going to impress.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we need to start wrapping this up here. I want to say a couple things. First is, if you're running a Chamber of Commerce, I'm going to recommend that you bring Danny in or your co-author of the Influence book, because your members need to hear this. They need to understand what a sweet spot they're sitting in as chamber members, and they need to understand they can't expect this just to happen organically. They have to be the first. They have to give first, and they have to have a business built on relationships. Things have just so changed from 20th century, and they need to hear it from somebody like Danny that can explain this to them. So that's one thing, Danny. So I'm going to want to know how people can get a hold of you, and then also tell us about your book. How do we get a hold of your book?
Yeah, sure, and I really appreciate that, Frank. That was so kind of you. Thank you. But you can find my blogs over at dannybrown.me, as in me. I'm on Twitter at Danny Brown. The company is our company, and the book website is influencemarketingbook.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, and you have a good weekend, and I got to tell you, we just so much appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, Frank. Thanks a lot, mate. You too.